He was waiting for his target in an empty parking lot. A group of thugs approached, and one of them stabbed him in the leg. He calmly explained that he couldn't feel his legs since he had been in a wheelchair, causing the group to laugh. Another thug kicked him, and he immediately drew his gun, shooting down each member of the group until no one was left alive. The film begins with the story of two characters, Rupasov and Z. Rupasov was once a notorious assassin, but for the past 3 years, he has been living in a wheelchair due to serious injuries. Meanwhile, Z, who was born with a disability, has been bound to a wheelchair for his entire life. Currently, Z lives in a dormitory with his close friend Adam. In his free time, Z enjoys drawing comics and is even quite skilled at it. One day, while Z and Adam were playing around with a fire extinguisher in a small alley near the dormitory, Rupasov suddenly appeared. He was displeased with their behavior and became angry, leading to a heated confrontation. However, after realizing he had overreacted with Z and Adam, Rupasov softened, apologized, and unexpectedly invited both of them to his party. At the party, Z and Adam seemed to have a great time, forgetting the initial tension. Later, Rupasov, with a calm demeanor, suggested that Z and Adam join him in his assassin work, promising them a luxurious life similar to what they had just experienced at the party. A few days later, Z had to be hospitalized, and the doctors recommended surgery. However, Z firmly refused. Because of the pain from his past, his father had abandoned him right after birth simply because of his disability. The story then shifts to Rupasov as he receives a new assignment from his boss. Rupasov patiently waited for his target in an empty parking lot. A car stopped nearby, and a group of people got out and approached him. One of them pulled out a knife, threatening and stabbing Rupasov in the leg. However, he remained calm, explaining that since he had to use a wheelchair, he no longer felt anything in his leg. His response caused the group to laugh mockingly. Another member of the group kicked Rupasov, causing him to cough. But right after, he pulled a plastic bag from his jacket, which contained a gun. Without hesitation, Rupasov quickly used it, shooting down each one of them until there was no one left standing. After defeating his attackers, an ambulance quickly arrived to assist Rupasov. Among the medical team, a female doctor named Zita tended to the wound on his leg. It turned out that they knew each other from before. Having deep feelings for Zita, Rupasov boldly invited her to go to the movies after her shift. However, Zita declined and revealed that she was already engaged to someone else. This news left Rupasov heartbroken. But devastated, he even tried to end his life by jumping off a pedestrian bridge. But miraculously, he survived. Rupasov realized that he couldn't give up on life and decided to move forward. The story took a turn when Rupasov's boss paid him for his work, while also asking him to keep the job confidential and not cooperate with anyone else. Interestingly, in the past few days, Rupasov had received considerable support from Z and Adam. A few days later, Rupasov coincidentally ran into Z at the hospital, where he was receiving treatment for his leg. In that moment, Rupasov seriously told Z not to help him anymore and officially ended their partnership. However, Z firmly refused Rupasov's request and insisted that he would continue to help him. Z also bluntly stated that he would not accept any money from his father, despite his mother's persuasion. After completing his leg therapy, Rupasov waited for Zita outside the hospital, holding a bouquet of roses in hopes of expressing his feelings for her. Unfortunately, his hope faded when he saw Zita leave with her fiancé. Back to work, Rupasov received an important mission to eliminate an influential figure. Determined to complete the task, he began to meticulously plan how to carry it out. While the target was having lunch at a roadside restaurant, Rupasov quietly waited on one side of the street, while Z and Adam positioned themselves on the opposite side to provide support. With seamless coordination and taking advantage of the chaos caused by a flock of pigeons and the crowd of passers-by, Rupasov successfully completed the mission without raising any suspicion. Suddenly, as the official crossed the street, he collapsed, blood quickly spreading across his body. The bodyguards rushed in, panicked, trying to identify the source of the shot, but the assailant had vanished as if he had never been there. No one expected that the 3 men in wheelchairs were involved in the incident. After completing the mission, all 3 quickly left the scene discreetly. Later, Rupasov coincidentally ran into Zita while getting on a bus. She unexpectedly handed him an invitation to her wedding. Although he accepted the invitation, Rupasov was unaware that his boss had been quietly monitoring his every move. When they met, the boss was furious with him for not following the rules. In a fit of rage, he pushed Rupasov to the ground, expressing his disappointment and overwhelming authority. The boss gave Rupasov one last chance to make up for his mistake, assigning him an important mission to eliminate Z and Adam. The next day, Rupasov took his two friends fishing at a distant lake. Although they had to cross several areas filled with weeds, they eventually reached the lake and began fishing. When Adam excitedly felt a tug on his line, he quickly called for help to reel it in. However, instead of helping, Rupasov unexpectedly pushed Adam into the lake. Not stopping there, he pushed Z into the water as well, intending to abandon both of them. But as soon as he thought about letting his friends drown, Rupasov couldn't bear it. He immediately jumped into the lake, determined to save Z and Adam. When they all returned to the dock, Rupasov quickly pretended that everything was just a joke, even though it was the first time he had failed a mission. On the way back from the lake, Rupasov invited Z and Adam to a party at his house. At the party, he shared with them his feelings for Zita, expressing his deep affection for her. Moved by Rupasov's love, his friends decided to help him win Zita back. They began discussing and making plans to make it happen. The next day, Rupasov's three female friends helped him stand up and lean against a car, suggesting that he might not need the wheelchair anymore. Rupasov patiently waited for Zita to return from the hospital, but she never showed up, despite his waiting for hours. Their plan had failed completely. A few days later, Rupasov received a new mission from his boss to eliminate a drug dealer, with a promise of double payment if he completed the task. Rupasov agreed to take on the mission, but he made it clear that this would be his last one, and that he would not take any more jobs after this. His boss accepted the terms. Once everything was settled, Rupasov, along with Z and Adam, went to the target's house. He instructed Z and Adam to wait in the car while he carried out his plan. Before allowing Rupasov into the house, the guards thoroughly checked him but found no weapons or sharp objects. Thinking everything was safe, they allowed him to enter. They led Rupasov inside the house, where he met the drug dealer. As soon as they came face to face, he began to execute his plan. Secretly retrieving the gun hidden in the foam cushion of his wheelchair, Rupasov started firing at the guards in the house. However, he missed his primary target. Instead of trying to escape, the drug dealer immediately drew his own gun and faced off against Rupasov in a tense gunfight. However, Rupasov had more experience with weapons due to his work as a hitman. Despite his body no longer being in perfect condition, wounded and covered in blood-soaked clothes, he kept fighting relentlessly. In the end, he eliminated everyone and completed the mission. In a hurry to escape the scene, Rupasov reached the gate, only to hear the sound of police sirens in the distance. He struggled to open the locked gate but couldn't manage it. Meanwhile, Z and Adam were in the car, looking worried. Z quickly took the lead, distracting the police car, while Adam assisted Rupasov in escaping the house. Thanks to their seamless coordination, the three of them eventually managed to escape successfully. Rupasov then met his boss to receive payment for the completed job. However, strangely, his boss drove him to another location. They arrived at an empty warehouse, and Rupasov began to feel something was off when he saw a rope hanging ominously. It turned out that his boss had discovered Rupasov's plan. He knew that Z and Adam were still alive and was furious, disappointed that Rupasov had betrayed his trust. The truth was revealed, and his boss could not forgive his actions. He wrapped a rope around Rupasov's neck, took away his wheelchair, and left him alone. In a desperate situation, Rupasov struggled to loosen the rope tightening around his neck, using his toes to hold on to avoid choking. He tried to reach for his wheelchair, which wasn't too far away, but all his efforts failed. Desperate and feeling hopeless, he began to think everything was in vain. However, just as he was about to give up, the knot on the rope around his neck finally loosened a little. With that, he quickly untied the rope from his neck and survived, escaping the dangerous situation. When he returned home, Rupasov quickly gathered his friends to plan his revenge because his boss had crossed the line. A few days later, he attended Zeta's wedding with Z and Adam. In a sharp white suit with neatly styled hair, Rupasov looked truly captivating. He even showcased his singing ability, earning praise from many people including Zeta. Zeta was so moved that she teared up. However, at that moment Rupasov unexpectedly kissed Zeta, making her husband feel incredibly jealous. After the party ended, Zeta's husband, along with his friends, attacked Rupasov for what he had done to his wife. However, Z quickly came to his rescue. He threatened Zeta's husband with a gun and safely escorted Rupasov out of there. In the following days, Rupasov began to carry out his plan to get revenge on his boss. He and Z went to his boss's hideout without fear, while Adam stood guard outside. Rupasov did not hide his intentions. He clearly stated that he wanted to collect the payment his boss still owed him for his previous work. However, the boss refused to pay and threatened to release the dogs to attack Rupasov and Z. In this dangerous situation, Rupasov quickly pulled out his gun and shot at a nearby fire extinguisher, causing the dogs to panic and run outside. When the boss saw the situation change, he immediately charged at Rupasov, forcing him to drop his gun. Not stopping there, he continued to attack Rupasov with a knife. Z, although he had retrieved Rupasov's gun, chose not to help him. Z allowed the boss to harm Rupasov until he died. Then, Z killed the boss and took all the money from his safe, money that the boss had intended to use for Zai's leg surgery, and that was the end of the story of the wheelchair killer. However, the surprising truth is that everything we saw about Rupasov was just a fictional story from a comic book created by Z. Z had created the character of Rupasov, a person who resembled his father in appearance and also shared a disability similar to Z's in real life. Z never had the chance to meet his father. He only kept a single photograph of him, a man who resembled the character Rupasov. This inspired him to create a comic book in which both his father and he appeared. Surprisingly, the comic book quickly became popular, attracting the attention of publishers and opening the door to great success for Z. Z sent a copy of his comic book to his father as a memento, and that is how the story ends. The lesson from this story is never push your friends into a lake if you want to be a successful assassin, and never forget that comics can change your life, even if your father is just a wheelchair-bound assassin in a fictional story.